Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Q&A with you guys. I'm going to keep this implementation here. Now, I have some stuff here. I can see some questions that I'm going to go ahead and tackle. Melissa, are you out there?
I am.
Okay, good. Let me go through a few things before you jump in and start to kind of run this show. One of the things that I want to talk about is if you're asking about your specific product, we can't really talk about your specific product on the class because it's not fair to the other students, and we can't help you with one-on-one consulting on your product campaigns. So I'm going to do the best I can to answer questions, but if you have a very specific, product-specific question, it's not something we can answer. It's just not going to be something we can do, but I'm going to try to make it more broad, but just know that hopefully I can answer your question in a broad way and you get something out of it. So the question I have here is, so it looks like someone is asking questions about their competitors. So without question on Amazon, you're going to find you need to be looking for the competitors that sell a product similar to yours. So again, if you're not seeing that, you might be missing the data, and I would just go review that competitive analysis PDF that we passed out, because it would be unusual, if not miraculous, if you have a product on Amazon that there's not enough competitors for you to get good data. It would be shocking the way this platform is. So I think that the main thing you want to be looking for is you can kind of move through competitors. The ones that have the closest product to yours are the ones that you want to target without question. And maybe Melissa, you will have to read these for me. Do you have access to Slack?
I do. I did read those already.
Yeah, can you kind of bring those out in a way that isn't product specific? The lady that's asking him is really asking about her particular product, which is I'm going to say it is just a knife block and knives. And we don't talk about particular products on this class, but we're going to try to answer these without getting into your particular product.
Yep. I think that mostly what she's asking is she's only seeing two competitors for her specific product. So how does she go about analyzing the data for that if it's only two that are specific to hers?
Okay, well, I would say, I'm going to look at this again to really get a feel for it.
And I think that kind of comes in with the variation of it. So if she's selling a specific type of her product, and there are some that are similar, but they're not made of maybe the same material, they're just a little bit different, they're not quite the same. If she's only got two competitors that she's finding, are those the only two competitors she should be analyzing, or where should she look for more information?
You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to get good data off two competitors because that wouldn't really define your market. So if there's only two variations that are just like yours, that's interesting because it doesn't show market preference on that variation. So if you're going to go in that direction, and I'll just go ahead and, so if you're going to go in the direction there, you really want to, first of all, go search for the seed keyword. So she's differentiating this with, I'm just going to have to read it out loud because, you put it in here and I have to kind of go to the class. So she's got a certain type of material for her product, right? So let's just say that we go back to the blue jeans example, and she's saying that she's not seeing any competitors that have ripped skinny jeans. She's only seeing competitors that have regular skinny jeans or blue ones, right? She's not seeing anybody with ripped ones, and she has ripped ones. Well, you're going to need to go do a keyword search, not in the rank, for that particular ripped skinny jeans, right? You have a modifier there that defines the material of your thing, the material of your product. Go search for that modifier. So if you're selling the ripped skinny jeans, in your case, it looks like your modifier would be stainless steel. Go look for the stainless steel keywords and see who ranks on those. And then if once again, you really don't find anyone on stainless steel keywords with a stainless steel product, that would be weird. So if that happens, I can't imagine it happening, then you would go back over to the bestseller in the organic rank, and you would go ahead and look for products that had high velocity. And at that point, you would have to base your seed keywords on those other types of products. You still would pull 10. You would base them on first relevance and go deep into the keywords that describe your product. So use stainless steel in the searches because that's the only way you're going to get the ones like yours that are ranked. If you're going to the bestseller rank, you may not be able to use it and just pull the ones from the bestseller rank that look like yours. And then I would definitely go with the keyword search, see who's ranked organically. If you still don't find someone with that same material, that's tricky. I would say you just got to go after the main category, but then this is a total eye for you into the shopper's shopping cycle. They're not looking for that. So you're going to have to partner all of your keywords with some type of stainless steel variation, because otherwise you're going to be limited in terms of how you're going to convert that traffic if you see that the best sellers are in different materials. That might be another instance where you would do negatives for the materials you don't have. So negative for wooden, negative for plastic, and you would hone in on stainless steel. So I think with that, I wouldn't analyze two competitors. I would go analyze the top sellers regardless, but then I would be modifying my keyword list to really include that feature, which is stainless steel. And then also, before I even went there though, I would take stainless steel plus my seed keyword, the main modifier, which is stainless steel. I'm going to take it through the search results, and I'm going to see what's ranked organically for that search. So let's go into number 2 of her question.
Okay, number 2 of her question. It says, my product is now ranking number 1 position for organic on a keyword. So she says, you advise that you would also use sponsored products for this keyword and that people would click on the organic instead of the paid ad. She would like you to explain it again. She thinks that people would click on the ad because it's above the organic, so she'd pay for each click. Is there something she's missing within that strategy? Do you think they would click organic, or do you think they'd click the paid ad?
They will definitely scroll down at least below the fold, and they will do both. But let me talk about this. So, okay, if your product is in the number 1, this is again, big scope here. Okay, your product is in the number 1 position organically. On what keyword? I mean, if there's keywords that you're not in the number 1 position organically, go get those first. So if there's keywords that are relevant to your product that you're not organically positioned, you got to buy those because they're never going to find you. So if you're not in the top organic positions, the keywords that you got to hit first are the ones that you're not showing up organically on. Now, if you're organic on all your keywords, like a lot of my clients are, at that point, yes, I double down because I want that sale. I will not give it to my competitor. I will not gamble on my market share. So no, I double down. And you're absolutely right. They're going to click on your ads some of the time, but a lot of the time they're going to go to organic. So it's just that 80% of your sales come top of search. I'm not sure why you'd roll the dice and allow your competitors to convert those sales, and more importantly, convert those customers, right? To me, I like to leave as little of that as up to chance as possible, but then my goal is growth and market share. If it's at an even break even A cost, certainly not losing money to do that, but if I could do it at break even, only a percentage will come out of the paid ads.
Great. Her question number 3 is, on the sheet, top competitors, there's a section called top 10 visibility and rank, which everybody's seen if they've seen the sheet. How do you decide which one goes into that list?
Okay, yeah, we sent out a new competitor analysis PDF. I'll just make sure that Sonia gets that over to you. So just Melissa, put a note in Slack when you're done here for Sonia to get her the PDF. So on the top sheet, competitors, top 10 visibility and rank. I decide which ones go in that sheet based on 4 factors: where they're at in organic rank, where they're at in the bestseller rank, if their product is relevant to mine, and who has the highest sales velocity from a market analysis tool. That's it. 4. Relevance, organic rank, bestseller rank, and then, and so that I put all those, and then sales velocity, who has highest sales dollars on a monthly level. I put all those, or orders, more than sales. I put all those together in a sheet, and then I just start to slice and dice them. So it may end up that I've got a competitor that is, in the bestseller rank, and he's also organically ranked, and he's also got huge sales velocity. He is fierce. He is somebody I'm going to pay close attention to. So that's kind of how I overlap the data, and then I sort it by sales, highest to lowest, and I pick the ones with the best revenue. After I've determined they're all ranking and they're all interesting and they're all relevant, then I'm only looking for dollars, because I assume those with the highest orders get the highest page views, and if I'm targeting their pages, I want those page views. I want those sales. I want my ad on those pages. So that's how I sort it, but we do have a competitive analysis sheet. I had a lot of questions, and I really apologize. Class 1 was a fiasco with Vimeo. And so we really came pressed to that class. It was tough. We had a lot of technical difficulties. So I realized after all the questions that you guys were kind of struggling to get that process. So I refined the entire process through Helium 10 into a few steps with these little pins. And I sent out a PDF that you can get from customer support, or you can get right here in the call. I'm sure somebody can post it for us in the resources now if it's not there. But I would download that and I would use it because it's step by step. It's super easy. And then back to you though on your stainless steel product. Make sure you're using those keywords in your keyword searches. You have no choice. That's the only way you're going to find products like yours. And if not, just go after the ones that are selling well, and make sure you use a lot of negatives on those other materials like wood and plastic so you don't scoop up those bad clicks.
Awesome. Okay, Sheree, where would you like to head now with questions?
I think we're in the back, so I think we'll just do whatever's coming through the back.
Okay. I've got kind of a list of what's been coming through the class. So we can just kind of go from the top and go down if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go through today's class. I think,
okay.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. If the same keyword has sales in broad, but no sales in phrase, should I stop phrase and continue with broad?
Absolutely. Yep, you're just testing. Sometimes you can get traffic out of both broad and phrase. It's super nice. Sometimes though, the majority of the time, either one doesn't sell or one doesn't convert as well, or one will kind of just take the lion's share of the traffic, even though you're trying to double down. And with that, it's always also like an ACOS thing. Sometimes broad's gonna hit my target ACOS, sometimes phrases. I honestly never know which one because I'm not a mind reader on those search terms. So I kind of test them both and I plug the holes. So yeah, go ahead and pause one.
Okay, great. Bestseller rank is found by clicking the subcategory on the product page, correct?
Yes, absolutely. You just go into your product page, your subcategory, the one you're already ranked highest in, which means you're most relevant in. Make sure it's a relevant category and the keywords define your product. Make sure your competitors in that category also look like your product so you know you're in the right place. And then from there, that's it. You go get the bestseller rank there.
Awesome. How do you want to handle campaign structure keyword or questions? We're getting quite a few of those still, and I know we're going over those in the next couple weeks.
We are. We're going to talk about the builds from front to back. It depends on what they are, Melissa. So I think the main thing is to cover anything with keywords, competitors, and today's session. And then go ahead and put those down because we don't have to end this call. I'll get through those first. And then once those are done, I'll tackle some of the campaign structure ones with you. But I'm going to let everybody know transparently, if I can't explain it without a visual, it's because it would take me it would take me an hour to tell you about it, or we wouldn't have an hour class. And it would take me a long time to think about how to structure it so you can understand it. And I would need visuals there for you to get that. So if you ask me questions that I can't explain just with words, I'm going to have to back away so I don't confuse people. But if it's something I can explain in words, I will do it.
Okay. The next one I had was a campaign structure question about how they handle the campaigns that they currently have and the keywords they currently have and how they're going to restructure. So that's going to be a whole class that we're going to go over. So we're going to cover that at a later date. I do have an interesting question about some international students. Do you have any advice to get market share data for Europe and the UK? Helium 10's X-ray extension doesn't work there.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. There we go. So in terms of, one more time, Melissa, on that question, I was trying to refresh my question so I could help you sort them a bit, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any advice on how to get market share data for Europe and the UK? Helium 10's X-ray extension won't work there.
Yeah, no, I don't have any advice on that. And, there might be another tool that does international, but I don't think it's really important. I think that it's good to have that data, but if you just can do one of your markets, I assume you're selling in the US, it's going to be different in every market. But I would just kind of focus on the US first and get that one locked and loaded. And then that should give you a good idea of where you would head over into the international channels. But without question, your US-based competitive and keyword research will translate really well to other marketplaces in most instances, as long as you do good language translation and you really can understand those products. So you could do the manual processes that we've covered here to kind of dial into your international markets. But going back to the earlier classes, I'm going to suggest that you tackle the US or your biggest market. If it's UK, that's fine too. Tackle your biggest market first and really get an understanding of your keywords, and then translate those search terms out of the report with proven data to your international targets.
Okay, great. I've got somebody asking, how do you set any keywords to regular or negative at the campaign level if you can only add keywords to the ad groups?
Okay, one more time, Melissa.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you set any keywords to regular or negative at the campaign level if you can only add keywords to the ad groups?
Okay, good question. Okay, so you go into your campaign settings. This is an awesome question. And I want to kind of cover that here so I can kind of show you how I would pick single negatives. All right, so say I'm doing beard oil, right? If I'm doing beard oil, my negatives are going to be negative growth, negative kits. I have neither of those things. So those are my first two negatives, although I'd have quite a bit more. I would also, just so you guys know, to pull my negative list, I would go and put the word beard through a very general tool. Like, this is not a general tool. This is a really data-driven tool over here at Helium 10. But there's some general tools you could use, even the Google Keyword Planner for only this step. It's not useful for picking keywords. It's just good for negatives. You want to find a really broad keyword tool. If you have a subscription to Merchant Words, that one works great for this. Merchant Words is a great broad range keyword tool. So I use Merchant Words for this because I just have tons of tools because I do this. But at the end of it, you put beard in, and you can do it here through Helium 10. You put beard in, single word, and then you pull your negative keywords from that. So beard, you'll have all sorts of things that come up under beard that are just not really defining an actual beard product. You know what I mean? So if I'm doing beard, I'm going to put a single word beard through a keyword tool, any keyword tool, free or paid, and I'm going to pull all my negatives. Like there'll be beard trimmer, and my negative is trimmer, and it'll be beard scissors. I don't have scissors, negative. It'll be beard something, and I say negative. So negative growth, negative trimmer, negative scissors, anything to do with beard, but I take the main single keyword and I put it in there just to make sure that I get a really good idea of what my single negatives need to be to filter all my traffic options. Now, where to put them? You go into the campaign, in your campaign settings, you're gonna have a tab for negatives in the keyword view, right? You have a negative keyword area in the campaign settings. You put your negative keywords as single one word negative phrase match. But campaign settings, I do them at the campaign level. They're so broad, and I know that anything to do with beard oil, these are my negatives. You don't have to get too crazy on the negatives on Amazon. You don't want to filter those impressions. They're free, and they bring you a lot of brand visibility. And Melissa, can you make sure, will you do a quick message? I could do it over here in Slack. Let's make sure that they're posting the PDF for competitive analysis.
Andy just did that. Andy just sent everybody a message through the members area telling them where to find that PDF with the Helium 10 instructions.
Yeah, and it's a complete competitive analysis, like step by step of snapping. I really worked hard to make it simple. I got so many people that were like, oh my gosh, this competitive analysis template. And it made nobody happy. And then reading all that stuff from you guys made me very unhappy. And so everyone was unhappy. So I just went and redid the whole thing. And that PDF rocks, at least in my opinion. And I did a lot of shortening, and it was a lot of brain damage, but I think you guys will like it, so use it.
Elaborating a little bit on the negative keywords, do you add negative phrase keywords to both the manual and the auto campaigns?
I sure do. And I use the same big product negative list. So beard oil, right? I do the same thing. So like if I'm running my beard negative list, it's going in my auto where I'm targeting beard products, and then it's going in my manual. Same negative. And Melissa, I'm going to pause real quick and browse some of the questions that have been pending. Okay, Carolina Garcia. Oh my gosh, I will answer your question right now. I have stared at this question, and I really am happy to be seeing questions too. Melissa's helping me, but I think I needed my eyes on the screen, and I'm really happy to see these. This is my first time I've actually been able to see your questions without someone reading them to me. So Carolina, thank you for your patience. So Carolina is asking, she wants to know, yeah, thank you, Carolina, I'm so sorry. Okay, she wants to know, don't scroll questions. Okay, she wants to know how many keywords do we try to match in Density SEO book? Okay, lady, I've got this for you. Okay, so can we repeat keywords? Geez, these little admin things, I wish I could see it. Melissa, do you see that SEO density question?
I do, it's on my list.
Okay, right here it was. Carolina Garcia, will you go ahead and read that to me? Because the admin still trips me up. Can you read it to me?
Yeah, no problem. How many keywords do we have to try to match density for SEO book? Can we repeat keywords in the back end? And how do we know if we've done this right, done this action step right? She has a feeling that it's key for the organic ranking algorithm.
Really, really good trick. Okay, so let's go through that. Thank you for posting again. Caroline is on the A game here.
She is.
I got it. Okay, so first question is density. You really want to pick, okay, so from my density, and you had another good question. I want to cover two things on density here, and we've covered it in the Act 1 guide. Trust me, I have read every question you guys posed, and we have created a guide that answers them, at least the best I think I can. Like this class is designed to answer your questions. I hope it answered a ton of them. Okay, so on your density, okay, your first thing there is I like to go into the SEO book and I like to do two types of density pulls. If you're in that really not so efficient beard oil template that we shared, and I do apologize, if you were in that first chaotic template and you go to the page where I went ahead and tagged my titles and my bullets, Melissa actually helps me do all my research. And so we went ahead and we said, okay, here's the titles and bullets from our top competitors' listings. I just get their titles and bullets. Okay, now from there, I go to the keyword density tool. And again, so that's going to be the main thing you want to do first and foremost, right? Is you want to say, okay, one of my density pulls is going to be just on the titles and bullets of my main competitors, because those are the things that Amazon weights the most important, right? You don't want the whole product page on every pull. So I always do a title and bullet pull so I can see the density on that. Then I go take the product listing like Caroline is doing. I take the product listing and I put it through the density tool and I pull it in its entirety, because that gives me category, competitors, it gives me everything in the big picture because I'm getting the whole page, reviews and all. Lots of features and benefits in those reviews. We all know that. So I get that in there and I do a second kind of density. Now, Carolina, for your first question, I like to pick the very most relevant, and there's no certain count, but let me kind of go with it with you. I like to pick the very most relevant 2 and 3 word phrases, and even make sure I take the singles. So I only take the most relevant. You're going to find a lot of stop words in density, like ampersand, prime, add to cart, just words that apply to the whole page. Just ignore those and take the ones that sound very relevant and have high density scores. And maybe let's give you some, I usually don't take more than like 15. I like to pull about 10 to 15 words, Carolina, off of the full page text, okay? 15 keywords approximately, exactly. And I like to pull a combination of 1, 2, and 3 word phrases. So normally I'm going to have, say, 5 to 7 highlighted in my singles. Then I might find 5 really good ones in the 2 keyword area. And then with the density, I like to do like maybe 7 of the single keywords, anywhere from, let's just say 5 to 10, Carolyn. And then I like to come over. Then I like to go and do like those 7 to 10 singles. And then I'll do about 5 in the middle, like the 2 word phrases. Then I'll move over to 3 word phrases. And I only normally find like 3 of those. You know what I mean? Caroline is like, keep talking. I usually only find 3 of those, or 3 to 5 of those 3. I don't go too deep, Carolina. When you're doing your density, don't go crazy deep. Don't try to scroll the whole page. We normally just copy the whole page of data into a sheet, like a Google sheet. And then we just normally take like the top, go back with that 80-20 rule. Try to grab the ones in the top, you know what I mean? And only get maybe 15 and take it out of the top of the density. That's answer 1. Don't go too deep. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole, right? You're just trying to get a broad view of what keywords are really showing up on these pages. Next, when you go to the back end search terms, don't repeat words. Okay, so do single words and only use unique phrases, right? So you don't need to phrase match. Instead, you want to take your unique words and use them in sequence, right? That's going to be the thing you want to do. Use them in sequence, right? So you're going to go through your density. Whichever density is most important goes in the front. And then whatever shows up second goes second. Oh, and I do this too, Carolina. Try to keep the 2 word phrases and 3 word phrases together if you can, even in unique words. So let's say here. So say I was pulling like beard oil. So if I'm doing beard oil in the back end search terms density, I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to try to keep my phrases together, Carolina. So I'm going to say like beard oil men. Like I'm going to put those words in sequence and I'm going to sequence them. So I would say, like, say this was just a density report. I would have beard oil. Then in the back end, it would be beard oil men. And then from there, I would have beard oil, men, and I would have a bigger, then I would use the word man down here at the bottom. But of course, your density is awesome. It's going to give you a much bigger view, but try to keep your phrases together, but it's not necessary to break them out and say, for example, beard oil for men. Definitely don't ever use stop words like for and the and don't use those. So and words like best or any kind of modifier that's very broad, don't use those either. They're not powerful. So you would stick with definitely stay with single words, only uniques. And then definitely you want to put your words together in your density, the ones that have the highest volume. You really want to make sure you keep those sequenced together, even though you're not adding them as separate phrases, if that makes sense. So Caroline, is that all your questions on density? Is there something else you had? I think I nailed it, but I can only see part of the question in my admin. Melissa, you're right there. I forget now. Please help. Do I have all of that answered?
I believe so. I'll wait for Carolina's feedback because I know she's got it posted in a couple of times.
So let's just keep going, guys. I'm going to kind of scroll through these, though. If there's somebody else that's been waiting for questions, man, please just go ahead and please post them today. We will knock them out. This is a do or die session. It's ride or die. We're staying here till you guys are covered.
Yep. And I wanted to tell everybody, as you guys have been submitting questions, I've been copying them to a sheet. So I have them if they're already submitted. So if you've submitted them, I have them in a sheet. I promise you, I copy pasted every single one of them.
We've been reading and trying to figure out the best way to cover them. So, okay, Carolina, another thing, you're asking if you're going to see organic rank rise if you do this. I'm going to say that you're not going to see it immediately, but over time, it'll definitely gain velocity. Be sure in the back end that you use the other attribute sections with some good keywords. Just be sure that you really fill that out, and then you got to give it a little bit of time. And here's something I've done over time that really works, right? This really works great. I have done over time where I will really start to kind of synchronize. If you saw Tanya's testimonial in the preview stuff, she was somebody that we worked on this together. I will really kind of synchronize my back end keywords with my keywords I'm bidding on and working on in advertising, and that works out really nice too. So that works really nice. And I think Garrulus needs a link. Andy, is there a new link for people? So yeah, also as you kind of kick off these ad campaigns, Caroline, try to put some of that density into the ad campaigns, like beard oil for men. That'll really help the algorithm get a strong signal from you on both sides, paid and organic. Okay, so there's another good density one coming through. Melissa, you read that to me from Maribel.
Let's see here. In the SEO tool keyword density analysis, you choose the all text option. Does this take into account the words on that page for frequently bought together, sponsored products related to the item, customers who bought items together, all those other sections? Is it taking into account those words too within that density?
It sure is, Maribel. There's two ways to run that. Like I mentioned, in your density, run your first one as the URL, the Amazon URL with your ASIN in it, just a normal ASIN URL. And then on the second side, go ahead and take it. If you run the whole URL, you're going to get the whole category, competitors, reviews, everything on the page. But that's a nice scrape. It's going to give you a good view of some good keywords. But if I'm really trying to tighten it down to my bullets, my title, back end, you can just take the competitors' titles and bullets only, put them in a compile sheet like we did in that competitive analysis, and then plug those into the text only feature in the same tool, and you're going to get a different sort. It's going to be the same keywords. It's just going to kind of show you which ones are even more focused.
Awesome. So this is a combination of a couple of questions. They would like to know if you're going to talk further about what their first brand keywords should be, and should the brand keywords literally be their brand name?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll talk about brand lists. It's a really nice thing to build. And so just to answer one last one on the density, so we stay on topic and really help people, with the Maribel, okay, so Julie was asking about SEO. Julie's asking me if the SEO on the back end is specific. Yes, just to your back end search terms. Stop words you need in natural writing, like titles, descriptions. You need tons of stop words. It should read like natural text, or you would send a flag to the algorithm. But on the back end search terms, no stop words. You don't want to use anything, like for, the, and those are irrelevant on the back end. You want to stay focused on just the keywords like beard, oil, men, growth, man. Super simple keywords. Okay, so that's awesome. We're past the SEO phase, but we can run back through it. So Melissa, will you run back through that question you just gave me again?
Yeah, of course. They want you to elaborate a little bit on what their first brand keywords should be, and should brand keywords literally be their brand name?
Okay, so brand keywords are awesome. Yes, your brand name. When I showed you this says, go back up here and find it. Slides move, hopefully not latent. I did not break Google Hangouts for the record. I may have had the massive Vimeo disaster of the century. And trust me, I probably lost more sleep than anybody on this call. Vimeo I will own, but I will not own the Google Hangouts crash. Okay, as we come down here, let's go to this one, brand. Right here. Come on now. Sorry guys, just give me a minute to find those brand searches because I want to show you how valuable they are again. I can't get over brand. Okay, this second campaign, this manual campaign are my brand keywords. Let me tell you how to run your brand keywords. Okay, so when you do brand keywords, right here, this is a brand keyword campaign. I'm talking 22,000 orders. Read it, it's real. 669,000 in sales at 5% ACoS. Those are a brand campaign. Let me tell you how I run and build brand lists. First of all, your brand list is gonna be a little bit more custom. Come on, slides. Okay, like this. Let's create a brand list from my main keyword list. Skinny jeans, okay? Everyone can see this. Rayanne says she can see me flip the slides, which is awesome. Skinny jeans, I'm working in skinny jeans. I'm gonna build a list for Levi's. So I'm gonna say, my brand is Levi's. I'm gonna say Levi's skinny jeans. Levi's skinny jeans women. Levi's jeans skinny. Levi's singular. Levi's jeans. Levi's women. Right? Because there's nothing I can go wrong on my brand. It's going to convert. It's my brand. If they put it in, they have a preference. So I take all these kind of loose keywords, all broad in phrase and exact. I put all match types on all brand keywords, and I make a custom keyword list. Never be scared of custom keyword lists. You really don't need it. You don't need a tool to spit out your keywords. Like you can make a custom list, and they're very effective. So skinny jeans, your brand. Skinny jeans women, your brand, right? And then put those in as broad in phrase, put them in as exact. Then the trick to really scooping up some additional brand sales is like doing short tail, like skinny jeans phrase. And then even funny combinations like skinny women, broad in phrase, right? Really kind of load those up with your brand. So Levi's jeans, Levi's skinny, Levi's women's, I can't lose, right? So put a good list of custom keywords together for your brand, and then add those into a brand ad group within your product campaign. Now with that, again, let me get clear, you only advertise your very best selling product, your kind of brand showcase outside of headline search. On sponsored products, do your very best product to those brand keywords, and you're gonna rock and roll. They grow over time, and your brand keywords will kind of let you identify how much your advertising is powering growth. You will see, like I just showed you in those numbers, you will see quarter over quarter, brand searches will double, sometimes they'll triple. I mean, they go through the roof. We do some serious, as you just saw, brand sales, and we didn't start with those brand sales. In fact, brand sales were okay when we started, and now they're through the roof. So you build brand presence with the kind of campaigns we build here, and then you put a brand campaign, and it's a great measure of what you're doing. You capture all your brand searches, and they really kind of do a really nice job of converting for you at a good target ACoS. So yeah, so that's just gonna be it. Okay, in this case, add one brand keyword per ad group. No, Fanner, thank you for clarifying. All your brand keywords go into one happy ad group. The only time you take a keyword into its own ad group is if it's kind of general, and if it's gonna like pick up a lot of additional search term traffic. No. All your competitors' keywords, dump one ad group. As long as they're converting, you're gonna always be pruning your keywords like I've taught you, and I'll teach you a lot more in the next act. But in this one, brand, all go in one group. Everything brand, best-selling product, all brand, all day, every day. Okay, so that's brand in a nutshell. One ad group, all your brand. And then in my search term reports, one last nugget on brand, I go ahead, once I've set this brand keyword, I have like really general things like Levi's at phrase, broad, and exact. It's my brand. I also mine my search terms and add them back into brand every single month. So the search terms are golden on brand too. You get all kinds of crazy searches that you wouldn't have, and you can put them in as exact match, and that's how you keep a 5% ACoS, because they're real granular and it really grows. Okay, What's next, Melissa?
Awesome. Just a really general question. Are you going to be covering product placement and headline search ads?
Yeah, for sure. In search, we're going to cover headline search without question. Just so you know, 80% of your sales, I'm all about 80-20, I know, but 80% of your sales will come out of sponsored products across the board, even when you're scaling. But those search ads, the headline search are awesome for visibility, and I definitely lock those down on all my main keywords. Julie is asking me one more question. She wants to reiterate, so she got a clarity. So okay, go ahead and read out Julie's question, please.
Yeah, she says, sorry to reiterate, but she wants to know if it's the same keywords in a separate ad group, but with their brand name placed in front of each keyword. So she's getting very specific with how you're placing those.
Structure. Sorry to repeat, it's the same keywords, except in a brand ad group. So that ad group would be like your product name. So if this is me, I'm going to have beard oil /manual. That's the campaign, beard oil /manual. And you'll learn this in the next act. It's going to take some time to show you, but then you go into there and you're going to have an ad group called beard oil /brand. And then inside the brand, Julie, you're going to have Levi's skinny jeans. Levi's skinny jeans for women. Yep, you're just going to put one more brand word in front of those, set them to all match types, and then try to scoop up some shorter ones too, like Levi's jeans, Levi's skinny, Levi's women. Get them as phrase and broad.
Okay. So the next question that I had come through was, can you clarify what you mean by capping a bid and leaving it uncapped?
I'm sorry. I'm just elated by Smiley. He's just amazing. He's like cheerleader. So anyway, one more time, Melissa.
That's okay. Smile sends us a lot of really great feedback. So whoever that is, thank you so much.
We're not just showing love there. Carolina, everyone's being so good today. And I'm so happy to see you for the first time. But go ahead, Melissa, with that question.
Yeah. Can you clarify what you mean by capping a bid and leaving it uncapped?
Oh, please. That's such a great question. Such a great question on bids. Okay, you have, and let me see, what could I show you here? Let me see if I have a screenshot that'll work. Maybe down here. I'm making notes though, so I can bring screenshots always. This will work. Okay, when I say I've uncapped my bid, here is perfect in play live, right? Yes, Dina, brand keywords, different matches, same ad group, absolutely. All brand keywords, all match types, one ad group called brand. Just dump them in there. They're all gonna convert. It's got great sales history. It's gonna grow. Okay, so back over here to bids, uncapped bids, right? When I'm doing bidding, I always talk to you guys about bidding for rank. And this is in action, pure data, and I'll show you between two shots so you can see. This is a campaign that's obviously jamming. And this is just like, I think this is like last month. I think we did like 161. I don't believe this is a lifetime sort on this. I think I tried to get it to like a 30-day range or something. Anyway, so this is a campaign view, and it's a month view because I want to show you I get 1 million impressions a month by doing all the strategies, right? Okay, over here, you see my default bid. Now, this view I'm showing you about bids, this is the ad group view inside the Amazon Campaign Manager, okay? So one of my campaigns inside the Amazon Campaign Manager. My default bid, I've set it over here, right? So I set a bid to rank, just like I taught you in the free session, right? In the free session, I said bid to rank. Default bid, I'm bidding at the ad group level, which means on all 500 of those scale keywords, this is my scale group, all 500, I've got a bid at 648. They're all at my target ACOS and they all belong in there, right? So this is gonna be when I call an uncapped bid, I say put it at the ad group level, no keyword level bids. It goes in its own ad group. This is called scale for me. These are 2+ orders, all at target ACOS. I keep loading my keywords out of my search term report every single month. There's no limit. If it converts to 2+ sales, I want it, I keep it, I put it in this group. It keeps growing over time. Now I've got 502 keywords. Just so you guys know, I have 381 competitor keywords. So 502 keywords in this, right? And you can also see my singles here with one keyword. You know what I mean? If you go to the keyword column, you can kind of see how they're stacked. Okay, the default bid here, 648, 582. These are just uncapped. These are the bids that were required for me to get first page rank, which I have held for 2 years. Thank you very much. Okay, so I hold those positions, lock and hold with these uncapped bids. Now, as things don't work for me, and it's like, if you go here, let me show you what this looks like. So I've uncapped my scale bids, 582, 648, right? My competitor bids are even uncapped at this point, right? 582, 648 up here at the top on my scale group, all uncapped. Now let's go down here to my search term report, because this is for the same product. Now look at those CPCs. look at the CPCs. These are my keywords that drive the sales. You saw the orders were over here in the search term report. Look at the CPCs, 218, 136, 89 cents, 282. And I'm bidding 648, 582 uncapped at the ad group level. Now, I'm not saying that's always going to work though, because there are obstacles in every path you take all the time. Like me and my Google Hangouts today, there are always obstacles. When you get to see your obstacles here, look at these though. Same setup, same strategy. I'm no magician, but look at all these cruddy CPCs in the uncapped group, right? It didn't work. So these didn't work. They're search term variations. I kill them. Killer keywords are gone, right? Now I get it gone, right? These are gone. I didn't do anything different. This is still my strategy, but this is just like the odds of nature, right? This is just, nature's out to get us, right? It's tough. So I look at this and I'm like, man, 344, 267, they didn't work at all. I just kill these guys. I pause them. I cap them. When I talk about a capped bid, I come over here and I set a bid at the keyword level in a different group called buy. And I put like $1 on that bid, on that keyword. Whatever this keyword can afford in this calculation, I'm going to show you this how to do it next week. Whatever this keyword can afford, I cap it. And I wish this screen was over just a hair. So I put it at like, $1.25. These uncapped bids have to be within ACOS, and then I keep them there and I get these CPCs. The bids that I cap are like, man, these didn't work. I either pause them, like what do I want with 2 sales and 167% ACOS? I don't want any keyword that costs me $4 a click, right? Shut those guys down, cap the bid at best. So my average CPC is gonna go away. I probably won't get a lot of traffic. I don't have to kill it if I don't want to, but I definitely need to cap it. So a capped bid is in a different ad group. It's called buy, and it's set up so that you can actually cap that bid at the keyword level. All your bids are at the keyword level, but you do it out of this sheet. You don't go in. I love to see people do this when I will ask them about their campaigns and they have all these keyword level bids, like a new account that I'm analyzing or auditing. And I'll say, so what's your strategy on all these bids? You got a lot of keywords here and a lot of different bids. No one ever knows. No one ever knows. I've never had a single person say, well, when I calculate the blank to the blank, I bid this. They never say that. They just go, I don't know. I just adjusted the bids. I'm just like, no, that's the recipe for disaster. That won't work because some keywords are going to make you a clean fortune and some keywords are going to lose you money. So you definitely want to cap your bids at the keyword level, but not on everything. And you want to do it strategically based on your search term report, based on those obstacles in our road, which are CPC and conversion. Once when those don't work for us, we got to get those guys out of our way. All right, back to it. Questions? Melissa, tell me I didn't lose Melissa.
You didn't. I just keep muting it.
No, that's great. I was like, I cannot lose anybody else.
No. I'm right here. Don't worry. So I'm just kind of going through these as they were submitted. So these are going from the beginning of the class down. So kind of going along with what you were talking about through the class. So negative phrase match. What do we do if we were taught that we've always have negative exact match at the ad group level? Is there a way to fix it? They're not really sure why to do negative phrase match versus negative exact.
Okay, so people really love negative exact match. And I have to tell you, in the world of Google AdWords, it's magic what you could do with some negative exact match. It's a search-based engine and you don't get product visibility on it. Outside of shopping ads, most of Google is just text. So it's like, unless you're doing display and then it's all visual. But if you're getting it, but then when you get to display, you pay for the views. So it's Amazon's the only place you're not paying for those views. So I don't see why you want to filter them with exact match negatives. Again, you're going to shave a few pennies off always. And I'm not going to say, let me say on this class, I don't do it that way, but I guarantee you, someone like Devin, there's other people in this class that are mavericks. I guarantee you that someone could sit me down and show me some exact match magic and I could be an advocate. I could be like, oh, cool, that works. But in my experience to this point, I get awesome results using the negative phrase. And I have to tell you, when I started in the Amazon platform in 2016, right? I made this pivot after more than a decade at the top of my Google game. I'm talking $1 million campaigns. And I said, man, Amazon is where the puck is going. I'm going to make a bet and go full on Amazon in 2016. Huge deal. Drop my retainer accounts on Google that were like 5 figures. And I just shifted. I mean 5 figures in percentages, shifted my percentage, over to Amazon and I had to learn the platform, right? I had to get in there and I had to figure out this platform. I tested every Google strategy known to man because that was all I knew. And I'm telling you that those exact matches don't work as well as the phrase. Now, if something has changed and someone comes along and shows me a different way, I am so open-minded because I am always wrong. Like all of us, there's so many ways to be wrong. But as of this point, I find I get more impressions, all those free views in Amazon. I get more impressions if I just do it at a very like single keyword level, right? So how would you fix that? Go ahead and take your entire negative list. If you want to try this strategy of mine, go take your entire negative list and pull the single keywords out of it, right? So if I'm looking at a keyword list, I would come over here back to skinny jeans. Let's use skinny jeans this time. And say I had like some negatives, like I had blue skinny jeans, full skinny jeans negative. What I don't want to do with the negative exact match is I don't want to send Amazon a signal that maybe don't show my ad for skinny jeans. Like, why would I do that? So instead, I just say negative on blue if I only have black. And if I don't have ripped, which this placement doesn't, if I don't have ripped jeans, I just do a negative on ripped. There's no benefit to me telling the algorithm to not show it on ripped skinny jeans when I just don't show it on ripped. I'm really just trying to say show, because Amazon is so category focused. I'm trying to say to the algorithm, show me on anything related to skinny jeans. I mean, people want to buy jeans. They start at women's, they go to skinny, they start buying, they start putting in their cart. Amazon is a conversion machine. You just saw the numbers. So I don't want to filter my results and knock it on any skinny jean search. I don't care what it is. I don't pay for the impressions to click. So when I'm doing that, like a negative would be negative ripped as phrase. So go ahead and pull. Now go ahead and yeah, you have to select exact or phrase. So go ahead and take your exact match negatives out into a sheet and pull the singles out of them, right? So just pull those and you're gonna know you've kind of screwed it up. So you would have screwed it up if you have a lot of skinny jeans or jeans keywords as negatives. You really shouldn't because you want to be on all skinny jeans searches. So do just like a negative black, a negative ripped, take the single word from that phrase that doesn't match right, and then use it as a negative phrase match. I would delete, and I do this when I audit an account, I would delete the negative exact matches and I would flip them out to single word phrase matches. And just to be sure that I covered it really tight, and this is at the campaign level, I would go pull this singular search for jeans. Jeans through the Helium 10 tool, whatever tool, merchant words, whatever you want, it's all gonna be the same. Pull jeans on this, and then I'm gonna say, okay, negative, negative bell bottoms, negative highway, all these negatives, right? Negative singles. So I would get rid of anything negative that could confuse the algorithm if it has your primary seed keyword in it. Just my strategy. You don't have to take it with you. Take what you want out of this class and leave what you don't behind. We're never going to see eye to eye on everything. This is just my strategy. So with this, then go add the singles in. Take the word jeans through Helium 10 or whatever tool you want and add more singles in. Like you don't have boot cut jeans. You don't have men's jeans. You don't have blank. Put some single negatives in. Single negative phrase match. And that's going to work amazing.
Awesome. 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 Next question. And we had some people asking questions through that, but I feel like you did answer those. So,
Kevin,
how to set those.
Francis, just to clarify, my negatives are going to be as phrase match and single words, not exact match. And then if I'm replacing those, I'm going to just replace them with singles. And I'm going to delete the full word.
Awesome. How does my own brand scoop up visibility if no one's ever heard of my brand and is unlikely looking for it?
Well, your brand visibility grows in relation to your bigger campaigns. So let's have a look at this. Okay, that's not the right campaign. Have a look at this dude again. Okay, so here, if I'm running this campaign, this 32% is on a mid-tail modified keyword. That's really about one keyword, spending all that money and driving all those sales. And it's a little bit over our target ACoS at 32%. That keyword brings so much visibility up that people go back and search for my brand. So when you kind of start out with brand keywords, yeah, no one's looking. But trust me, after you start putting impressions that you're showing all over Amazon, this is your hard work. When you start putting impressions of your product, it's highly likely, let's think how a shopper would be. Okay, so they're on the Levi's page. You've got a few good keywords locked in on skinny jeans. And then all of a sudden that shopper is over shopping Levi, shopping Lee, and they're looking at skinny jeans. and they see an impression of yours, they're going to remember the label, and then they'll go back to the search engine and search for it. And that's where you're going to be missing sales, because they're already kind of fuzzy. Maybe they don't know your brand. Maybe someone at work said, hey, man, you got to go to Amazon and check out those Levi's skinny jeans. And they come back and put it in. But the bottom line is, those searchers are gold because they're looking for your brand, but they're very new in the funnel, or they're very seasoned in the funnel. And no matter which way it is, if they're really seasoned in the funnel, like they know your stuff, man, it's going to cost you nothing to convert those sales. And then if they don't know your stuff, well, you've got to catch them while they're just trying to figure it out. Like, oh, maybe they don't know how to spell it. Maybe they don't know what they're looking for. You got to catch them because they're going to be your customer. So it's important that you catch them. And what's going to happen, though, are those broader terms that you bid on as you go 30 days scaling out the search term report. The broader things as you go forward are going to go ahead and drive your brand searches up. So you got to get the brand searches is kind of like you're hedging your bet, so that as you put money on all these other keywords in this account, I've only got one brand group here, right? As I put all this other money down, my brand hedges it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm putting all that money in advertising, $1 million. I want to make sure that my brand is getting as much as it can, for sure, out of that money that I'm spending. Right? Want all those customers to come find me because I'm paying to get in front of them. So that's kind of the leverage of a brand. You won't have much at first in your brand. It'll be kind of like a little group. It'll get a few sales here and there. But as you start to scale these other keywords, your brand will grow in relation to the rest of your account. And it's just a gold mine, as you can see. So as far as your auto campaign, yes, Office 13, you do want to put negatives in your auto campaign, single word negative phrase match. I kind of put the same core product negative. So if I'm doing beard oil, I'm going to have my beard oil negative list. I go pretty deep, like 50 to 100, and I put that in both my manual at the campaign level and my auto, always. Always, always, always.
Awesome.
Okay.
Do you want to talk more about ad level bidding, or do you want to wait until you get into campaign structure and all that?
What is it again?
The question is just, how do you suggest doing ad level or ad group level bidding?
Yeah, I can do a quick summary on that. And I definitely think go back to the free session that we did prior to this session, because I really went into detail on bidding in both sessions 2 and 3. But I think really in 3 and 1, I talk about bidding for rank, which I show some examples. So all 3 sessions, I talk about bidding on the free sessions. But I think with your ad group level bidding, you want to go in. I don't have a keyword level view here, but the one thing you want to be looking at the keyword level is you want to be looking at so you really want to be looking at what the Amazon suggested bid is for your ad group, to get your rank, right? Look at what the Amazon suggested bid is, and then kind of incrementally increase your bid until you manually see your ad at the top of the search results. So go back and kind of search for those keywords, and then when you see your ad ranking, you've hit your kind of uncapped bid that will get you all the traffic. So it's a bit of a process, but it's so worth it. Because once you've set those manual bids, they just keep delivering traffic like this. So setting them once is worth it. And that's 30 days of traffic, So definitely do that. So yeah, next, Melissa?
Yeah. How long or how much data do you need before moving a keyword from scale to buy and vice versa?
Super awesome. 2 sales to go to scale. I need enough data to know I've had 2+ sales and I'm going to test it in scale. I'm always going to load it as exact match. And then sometimes I'll put it as broad too, if I think I might get more visibility on broad. But it's always going in as exact match, sometime broad. But it goes into scale after 2+ sales at my target ACOS or below.
Awesome. Office is just saying, he's finding that he needs 4 times the max suggested bid that breaks his budget just to get that. Is that something that you see quite a bit, or? Yeah,
no, when you're saying it's 4x the max suggested bid, like mine is too, right? Like that's 4x the max suggested bid, but look at my CPCs. Is there a problem there, Office? What's your CPC look like though? You shouldn't break your budget. Here's the CPCs. You just need to make sure the bid doesn't scare you away, because hopefully your weaker competitors will be scared of that bid, and then you'll take all their traffic. That's what I do.
All right.
So look at that CPC, Office. Run a search term report. See if you're really paying that. If you're really paying that, then you have a bunch of these. I'll just call them turds. They're not fun at all. Then you have a bunch of these guys that aren't productive. They're just not doing well. They're not converting well. They don't have good performance. If your CPC is high, even after doing the max bid, you're probably just not getting the right relevance or the right conversion rates. Just go ahead and mine additional keywords, really focus on the stuff we've learned in these 4 weeks, and then you should be getting back to these numbers. So you got to really be sure that you look at that. And it looks like Maddie has some questions about new products. So I definitely want to address that, because I bet we have a lot of people with new product questions.
Yep. She wants to know, do you advise using coupons and giveaways for new launches? Or can that, or is that just giving away your money that could be used effectively in group 1 ad campaign?
Okay. One more time on that.
Yep. Do you advise using coupons and giveaways, or is that kind of wasting money that could be used for advertising on new launches?
Okay. You know, and I happen to be a huge fan of Casey over at Viral Launch. He's a really cool guy. And I have worked with him, like, you know, we're in the same like project, you know, we're at the same event or doing something in the same vicinity. And that's one sharp dude over there. So I'm going to say, you know, with, I'm going to say that, you know, your launches could really help you get momentum, but don't ever do them separately. So if, Maddie, you're going to do a product launch and you're going to invest in those giveaways, be sure that your advertising is positioned to go, right? Like I call that in our categories. Like I even have a campaign right now that we had kind of a nasty competitor come up on our bestseller badge, and they haven't taken it. But I'm kind of saying, hey, if you come in, you know, I see this competitor like kind of fringing around me with the bestseller badge. Melissa, I can hear you.
Sorry.
So this competitor's like coming around, and I'm like, okay, you're really close to my badge. So I set up a campaign, an ad group. I set up an ad group in this campaign to be ready with a high volume keyword, right? Like something like beard oil or women's jeans. I've got a high volume keyword ready to turn it on if that competitor starts to bring heat. So I would say you got to do the same thing with your product launches, right? I'm going to say that you need to set this up where, yes, do a product launch, do invest in those giveaways, get that velocity with your stuff, but have your advertising campaigns ready to go and positioned to pounce so that the second, and I mean, Maddie, the second that velocity starts to drop from the giveaway, boom, you got to power it back up with ads. And even go ahead and schedule some lightning deals, do some other things. Do whatever you can to send that heavy duty signal to the algorithm. The one thing you don't want to do is retreat. If you're going to invest some money in the launch, get the money ready for the ads, get the ads ready to follow up, get the lightning deals ready to follow up, get every piece in play, because you're going to make a strong push forward to take the market, right? So you just want to make sure all that's lined up. If you line it up correctly, launches are really good. And I know Mike McClary has some launch strategies that are next level. Like in the world of advertising even, people will say, man, Mike McClary's launch strategy. So I know that his launch strategies, and I'm not a seller, so I don't know what they are, but I know his strategies are pretty, you know, well known on the street, and that they work. I mean, everyone, even Manny Coates, the last time I talked to Manny, he said that works. So launch strategies, and I know Casey's stuff works. I know it works. I mean, that kid's like, you know, he's got an amazing company. So the launches do work. So I think if you're going to do them, though, don't do them. It's because, like we've learned in this year, it's not about velocity like it was in the old days. It's about history. So you got to keep steady, right? You got to hit the velocity, hit the gas, and then keep hitting the gas with your ads, and you're going to really jam. You're going to really jam if you do it that way.
Awesome. Okay, so let me see here. A quick question about brand campaign. Is it not good practice to create a brand campaign that includes all 40 of your products?
No. Pick your best-selling product. What do you want to showcase? When someone comes to Amazon and looks for your brand, again, this is not about what you want to sell. This is not about what you need to sell. This is not about doing everything every day. This is about your shopper. This is about the customer. What does he want to buy? When your customers look for your product, when they search for your brand, what product do they buy the majority of the time? Show them that. Look at your search term reports. Look at your business reports. Whatever your customer wants to buy is what you're going to sell him. It has nothing to do with your business. It has everything to do with your customer. So whatever the shopper predominantly buys when they look for your brand, give them that in all your ads.
Awesome. So we've got somebody asking, when you add single, broad, and phrase into ad group 2, so when they're segmenting into that ad group 2, do you pause the ones in the main campaign, or should they be having duplicate in different campaigns? How does all that work?
I do pause. That's a really good question. Now, if it's an old campaign and I have history and I'm trying to build some new history, sometimes I'll let those trickle in. So I'll put my new stuff up and I'll let the old stuff kind of die a slow death because I outbid it and I just win in my new stuff. But if it's my own campaigns and I've made a shift where I say in the search term report, this keyword needs to go to broad, this keyword is driving too many sales. Like in this 80-20, you know what keywords would be single here, right? My single here would be like 557, 394, 281 in the orders columns. Those are my singles. So if I see a keyword doing 557 orders, I don't have it as a single. I'm going to peel it out, put it in its own ad group, right? When I do that, yes, I'm going to pause it where it's at in scale. It's most of the time in scale and picking up traction. Sometimes it comes out of browser shop if it's early in the game. Wherever I find it at before I peel it and put it into its own group, I pause it where it was original. Absolutely. Definitely. If you're not trying to do some kind of fragile turnover in a campaign that's shaky, don't do it. But if you have good history like my campaigns do, I immediately pause and keep it in and let the singles pick up speed.
Great. So kind of building on that a little bit, just with not necessarily broad and phrase match. So I've got somebody that just came in and said, I have a parent ASIN that has 12 variations. Is there a benefit to add different search term keywords to each variation, or should I put them all with the same keywords for each variation?
Okay, let's go back through this review real quick, and then it's going to be time to cap the Q&A before I burn everybody's brains. Okay, I saw Carolyn. She's like, I'm poop, lady. I'll see you later. Okay, so going back into these campaigns, let's talk about this one, Office 13, which I don't know what your real name is, but Office 13 has this question because I can see them finally. If I'm looking at this, I'm going to say, okay, I'm doing, this is a good example I showed during class. I don't know if you caught this, but I'll go through it one more time. If this is coffee, again, the way you structure your campaign should be based on the way your shopper searches. Once again, this isn't about you. This isn't about a filing system. This is about, doesn't matter what you want to do. It's about how the shopper searches because you're trying to meet them in their mind. So if the shopper is going this direction and saying, okay, I like espresso, I like coffee K-cups, I like coffee beans, I like ground coffee, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, in the back end, Office, thank you for slowing me down there. Okay, not in the advertising, good. In the back end, I have a parent with 12 variations, add different search term words. Yes, Office, yes. Okay, if you're on the back end search term and you have multiple variations on a child ASIN, here's what I have found works, and I have tested this one as well multiple times. Now again, things change every day. It's an algorithm. Sometimes it's nice to me and sometimes it's really mean. So when it's nice to me, and as I've tested, this is what I found. Go ahead and put the main primary single keyword list, like we talked about here. Let's just skip over to beard oil. So I've got beard oil, men, growth, single words, right? Uniques in my main backend 250 character max area. No commas, just spaces, single words, sequence, kind of like these. For my other variations, I find it works best to put those in the other attributes section, not in the main box. So let's just say you have a variation, it's a different size, it's a different color, it's a different flavor. I find that you would put different size and color or flavor, whatever your modifier is. I find putting those inside the other attributes in good, relevant places is the best way to do those. But you definitely need to do the other attributes that describe the product where it's relevant in the other attributes section, but don't make unique search terms for them because they all need those like primary seeds that you're driving. Just put the modifiers really low key into those other attributes area in the back end, and that should work really well. The only time that would not apply is if we're back up here in like coffee, but I imagine you would have a separate product page for all these because you would be crazy to do that. Okay. So that's going to be the main thing we want to keep in mind there is like these would have their own product page. So yes, this would have, you know, details of like beans or K-cups or ground in the back end search terms. But if it's a more granular thing like these Levi's, all one parent ASIN, kind of here, all one parent ASIN with a bunch of childs that are a little bit different, like black and blue and indigo and faded. Those you would just use the attributes like black. You would even use black opal, that's the product name, in your other attributes to get the back end right on these. But the main core keywords would be built off of these: skinny jeans, women, you know, kind of going there, fit, you would use some main seeds, and then you would go ahead and layer those in other attributes. Okay, so if you could give me go ahead, Melissa, and kind of go through the list, because I want to make sure, and I want to get Devin's question, and I can see Maribel's got a question. She wants to keep her product private, which makes sense. That's why we have to keep everything private in the class too, right? It's only fair to people, because people work equally hard sourcing their products, you know? It's a whole game. Melissa, you with me?
Me and the silly mute button.
No, I'm thinking. I can tell you're having like an allergy attack, so I appreciate you hanging tight.
Oh, of course. Didn't you say to keep your good keywords as exact match in the scale campaign?
Yes, Devin, I like that. I like exact match in the scale campaign. I like to mine them from the search term column of my search term report with 2+ orders. I put them in as exact match. But Devin, you're really good at keywords, so you're like a maverick at that. So if you look at that keyword and you think, oh, like here's a good thing. Okay, so like, here we go. All right, so if I'm hearing skinny jeans, right, my broad match is 217,000 searches. Even if I pull a long tail for this, like skinny jeans for women out of my search terms, I'm probably gonna set it as broad as well. Now, I don't go check a numbers thing, but it's just kind of a pulse for it all. So I kind of say, oh, okay, if it's gonna be broader, even though it came out of the search term report, I put it as both broad and exact, always exact. But broad is kind of like, oh, is, you know, if it's some crazy thing, like let's go down here, black ripped skinny jeans for women. I mean, why would I put that as broad? I mean, there's just no match variation is going to happen, right? Black ripped skinny jeans for women would only be exact, but skinny jeans for women would be both broad and exact, if that makes sense, because there's potential traffic on both variations. And I don't really know, and you know, from my search terms, I do a lot of broad and phrase match, you know, exact is exact, but I still want to get as much broad traffic as I can. Okay.
Awesome. Maribel's question is pretty specific to her product, so I'm trying to figure out how I would word this.
I know, Maribel, we have to decipher that. Is there any broad questions that a lot of people have asked?
We have a couple questions about the placement report. So let me see if I can combine these real quick into kind of one broad.
Okay.
Do you think that something's off if percent of sales when it says that there is 60% of top search rather than 80% of top search?
One more time on that.
Oh, sorry. What would you think is off if percent of sales only says 60% from the top search rather than 80?
60 out of the top 80. Okay, 60%. Oh, bid for rank. Go back to session 1, free preview session. If you're only getting 60%, now 60% conversion or 60% impressions?
It just says percent of sales.
Percent of sales. If you could boost those. Top of search is where 80% of those orders happen at on Amazon. So my suggestion is you get a little more aggressive, going back here, get a little more aggressive on those bids if you can. Don't lose money, because the main rule in money is before you make it, the first rule is just not to lose it, right? So first we don't lose money, then we make money, and then we make more money, right? So first rule in money is not to lose it. So I would say that you definitely want to kind of roll that into a bidding strategy that gets you more visibility on your best keywords. So go into your search term report like this. I'll show you. Okay, if I get into my search term report here, my good side of my search term report, the one I love. Okay, this is my good ACOS. If I'm looking at this, these are all keywords over here that are driving results for me. If I'm looking at those numbers, I'm gonna say, okay, these keywords are really good. I think if you're trying to push, find the ones that get the highest, here's the secret, find the ones that get the highest impressions and the highest orders, and try to go and bid for rank on those. Whatever ad group they're in, push your bid a little bit till you're in number 1 on desktop, and that should boost more of your sales. If you have a lower percentage coming out of search, you just haven't secured. And another thing that might happen is you need to do this search term mining process. It's kind of like the golden egg here. You may need to do that. This has been done for years, every 30 days, like clockwork. It's almost like working out or eating right. We do this stuff like clockwork around here. So every 30 days, you do the same process, and you may see, and you will see over time, your percentage of search will grow because you'll have all these scale keywords. So you can either push up your bids to see if you can get more visibility and bid for rank out of session 1, not session 1 in the advanced series that we're doing now, but out of the free series. There's a good video on bid for rank and a download. Try that first, but also just be patient, because if you start to load these search terms, you can see these numbers, 557 orders, 394, 281, 274. As you start to load these orders in, you're going to see some really good results.
Awesome. We also had somebody keeping on that placement report. It says, looking at the placement reports, my top of search is almost equal to my other column. What does this tell me about my campaign?
Well, if your top of search is equal, then you just haven't got enough growth yet. Two things are going to help you grow your brand. One is going to be doing the search term mining and securing more of those keyword modifiers, right? I mean, you're taking those keywords and you're figuring out exactly what every shopper looks for to buy your stuff, and you load them in like clockwork every 30 days. It's like an order machine, right? So adding more search terms every single month as exact match is going to be the gold. And then, you know, doing some of these other strategies over time, broaden phrase match, you're going to get more visibility, competitors' pages, your brand searches. It's kind of a big picture. Right now, you probably just don't have enough velocity. That's why you're in this class. I assume if you have massive velocity, well, you probably would still be here because you want more velocity. But I'm going to assume that you have a lot to learn in this class and you're probably going to get some bigger velocity here. And I would let it kind of shake out over time. Just stay in mind, though, as you get here, going back to these kind of segments, I would say if you're coming into these, right, just be sure you're focused in this order. This is the one thing I get a lot of questions from, right? And I am, okay, great. Okay, great. So if I'm looking here, so you have like ad group 1, ad group 2, ad group 3. So like you really want to be focused on these tiered kind of structures so that you can kind of move through these strategically. So that's one of the bigger things on the takeaway. I've had a lot of people that are kind of bouncing around and maybe they don't have a focus point. Like they don't have, like they're trying to get everything done all at once. But just be sure you knock these out in sequence. Okay, this is awesome. Everybody's great here. And Devin has a question that was skipped, if we can grab it. And then Rayanne has something here. Can you read hers to me so I can hear that?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull these out so I can read them a little bit better too, because what we have to read them out of, guys, the platform isn't fantastic.
It's we kind of have to open them, you know. It's like because it's not them. We just have such complex questions that it's a more advanced series. It's probably the most advanced series you're going to take. So we definitely get longer questions, so it's hard to see them. But Rayanne, if you could just shorten that feedback, you can or can't see the slides in this session. Which is better, before or now?
Let's see here. She says the slides shown on the new broadcast
are better, I think. She's saying they're better.
I think so too. She can only see blurs on the first set.
Good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That's really good.
Good.
Okay.
I want to see him. That's awesome. This is all, you can give Andy Olson all the credit here because he persuaded me. Now is better. Thank you, Rayanne. He persuaded me to like just, you know, come over here and try this format.
Awesome. Okay, so Devin says these questions got skipped. They're actually in my list of questions, so getting there, but just hadn't gotten to them yet. He says, I like his question number 2. It says, love this content and the idea of dominating competition with bids. Worst case scenario, our competitors are on this trading. Best case, they don't know these strategies. As we make more aggressive bids on our most important keywords, my assumption is that the competitors will also increase their bids as they start to lose their market share or sales. How do we dominate while avoiding a long-term bidding war?
It won't happen. So you take those positions and you lock and hold and you don't move. Like once you bid for rank and you start selling more than everybody else in that top position with the algorithm, there's going to be a few instances of a bidding war, but they're going to be few and far between. And then you just hold your ground. And I guarantee you that your competitor who's trying to come in against you with all that history, they're going to play chicken with you until they get their credit card statement. Really. And then they're going to have to stop, you know what I mean? So normally I have never, I was in like the heyday of Google, which was the most brutal, competitive, biggest ad market in the universe. And I ran a really big game over there on all of my campaigns. I mean, big numbers all the time, competitive markets. I'm talking supplements and finance. I mean, all the people that pay. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, if you sell better and you are more strategic and you hold your ground and you're focused, it's very unlikely that a competitor is going to come in and really tangle with you.
Awesome. And then his first question, he says, for similar products, what if you don't have them set up as parent and child variations? In your Skinny Jean example, what if the SKU is a separate listing? Would you set them up in separate ad groups in the campaign, or would you recommend making a parent and child ASIN?
Well, if you're not too far down the pipeline, I mean, I have to say this is a strategy that, I like to look whole strategy wherever the money's made. I'm always looking at how that's done because that's my job in advertising. And I have to say that this situation here, this child-parent relationship at this point in time is super golden for me. It's so golden because I can't tell you how much, and then Helium 10 shows you how much brand halo, and I see it in the business reports because I pull business reports from my clients, right? I see in the business reports these kinds of numbers, $1 million off of one parent ASIN. I don't have to buy that keyword multiple times. I don't have to rank it multiple times. I don't have to fight every person in the skinny jeans category. I have to win it one time for my best-selling skinny jeans, and all this is on the back end. So I love, from an advertising standpoint, parent-child relationships because they give me a lot of back-end money and a lot of total sales. And you guys know I'm trying to rob the train. I always focus on the back end. That's the whole purpose of my ads. So I'm trying to get total sales velocity up and growth. So man, these child-parent ASINs are the most efficient, best way to do that. Now, it depends on your product though. I don't know how long you've been, if you had a listing that's been there a long time, I wouldn't go restructure it. If you're already ranked, if the keywords, if we go back to this, if you have some really unique keywords, like we looked at our coffee example, if you have unique keywords that are enough, like this 352 search volume, 177 on Amazon, that's a huge amount of volume. If I'm getting 352,000 searches a month for a product, that should be on its page, coffee K-cups, coffee beans, ground coffee. I'd have to look at your products, but if it's not something you've got a lot invested in and it's not ranked well and you're just starting this game, I got to tell you, if it can work in the Levi's structure of the parent-child ASIN, it's all related. It's got to be really related, right? I have to know that if someone comes and searches for women's jeans, women's skinny jeans, Levi's skinny jeans, I have to know that they're going to want all the products on this page. So if it's that relevant and the variations are just color, size specific, man, the child-parent ASIN is the way to go for ad investment for sure. Now, if it goes back to the coffee example and you've got some really key modifiers there, like a K-cup search versus a ground versus a whole, you got to separate those into their own pages and drive individual campaigns to them.
Awesome. Let me see here. I'm trying to go through some of these and see if there's a way for me to kind of group them together. Let's see here. You already answered that one. Going back to broad phrase search volume, do you have a specific, I think you've answered this before, but at what number of broad phrase search volume do you normally consider it needs to have its own campaign? Would you say more than 200,000 searches, or does it vary by product?
It varies by product. I look at the top 20%. It's a formula. Let's look at this guy again. And there's a couple questions I'm going to catch here and pick off the top because I'm clear on them. But if this is my numbers, look at my orders. It's so obvious. This is obvious to me, right? Look at it as an 80-20, more as a formula, right? So a formula of okay, of all these orders, where's the top 20%? Where's the top 20% coming from, right? So the top 20% is coming out of these kind of first 5 or 6 rows. 557, 394, 281, 274, 265, 262. 197 is kind of interesting as well, but then it dramatically drops. There's a lot of keywords on this page. It dramatically drops. So these are the only ones I care about, those top 5. And they're not going to change out that often. Once I've already put them in their singles, they're just going to drive sales indefinitely. And again, people don't go back to Amazon and redefine the product category. If they search for ground coffee, they're going to always search for ground coffee. So once you take ground coffee and put it in a single, the deal's done. Now your job is just to mine your search terms. You may come up with a new search term every now and then that needs to go single, but once you've got the big seeds in that second phase build, we went back to this ad group structure. Once you've nailed those singles from some good traffic, once you've gone ahead on that first search term, second search term over 30, 60, 90 days search term report, and you've nailed the singles that are going to happen, they're going to keep delivering over time. You know what I mean? The new singles, it's Amazon. It's a lot of short tail, really kind of broader searches. So you're not going to find them come up into the top. So really, it's one of those things you're going to do early in the game and not a lot of it after. It's going to be pretty rare that another new keyword pops out of the universe for beard oil at scale. After you take and win beard oil, you're going to have a lot of the market, and then your job is to get those long tail exact match out of the reports. I was going to show you that again here because my singles are here. You can see where I only have one keyword in the keyword column. Those are single. One product, one keyword. You can see I have one product everywhere. One product, one product, one product. One keyword, one keyword, one keyword. Those are all singles, and they just drive sales like clockwork at a nice CTR. They perform great. Really good cost above the board. The CPC is like $1.34 in one of them. Okay, so I'm going to pick a few of those off that I had talked about. Okay, info 504. Oh my gosh, no, do not use your negative keywords to direct impressions. Once again, you're a mind reader and you're not. So you're saying that you know the algorithm better than the algorithm knows the algorithm, and you know the shopper better than Amazon knows the shopper. And you, in regards to that, you know the shopper better than Amazon knows the shopper, and you know the shopper better than the shopper knows themselves. So if you're saying all of that, that's what you would be saying if you're going to direct impressions with a negative match type. I'm going to say to Amazon, hey, you know who buys stuff because that's your job. That's how you get paid. You know what impressions to give me. You know where this keyword should show up to make you money. They will do it. They will follow suit. They like to make money. Algorithms are simply computers that make money for a living. I'm not going to tell it through a negative exact match to just show me up on the broad or the exact, or you know what I mean? I'm going to put those keywords in there and I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to see which one drives sales. And then I'm going to look at that data and say, thank you very much for those sales. And if I had to do a negative, it would only be because it wasn't related to my product. Seriously, it would just be like, hey, this doesn't sell for me. Please put it as a negative. So no negative exact match to direct impressions. It sounds like a very tricky thing. It sounds very covert, super smart. Honestly, you're thinking like engineering style, super smart. But I'm going to trust that the algorithm will make those decisions for me and the shopper and do a much better job. I'll just stay at the end and collect the money. Okay, so another few that I'm going to pick off here. Okay, dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Renair, you're asking about variations, 2-pack versus single pack. He's asking, okay, I have a 2-pack and a single pack. Which one should I advertise? Advertise the one that's most competitive. Whichever one sells the most in your sessions and your session unit percentages already in the business report, and then go to the search results for organic and bestseller. If people are buying the 2-pack, put the 2-pack in there. If people are buying the 1-pack, put the 1-pack. Put the one that's going to really convert to sales. Beatrice is asking a great question about keywords. Need to be in all matches. You know what? Let's go through a little match type session and then we'll wrap up this call, I think, unless I've missed somebody. Yeah, Devin, we covered your parent-child variations. You would know, Devin, if it's established, you know not to do much with it. But man, if it's new, I'm telling you, it's gold to drive those like broad keywords to those pages and just let the back end drive all those sales. And then you don't pay for all the clicks. Let me go back down though to my question that I was looking at. So we've got everybody's feedback. We've got the best sellers. I just talked to Devin. I've got this one about the negatives. You know, I would suggest no. We'll be getting into campaign structure, Churi, in huge detail for 4 weeks next. And Smiley is still the most positive person on the planet. I'm trying to figure out here. There was one I wanted to ask about for sure. Okay, Robert is asking a good question. We want to make sure we grab him. I'll let you read that though. Will you read me Beatrice's and Robert's, please, Melissa?
Yep. Beatrice's on ad groups 1, do the keywords need to be in all matches, referring to broad, phrase, and exact?
Yes. So let's go into a quick match type session while everyone's still here. Before our last brain cells, we'll leave the room in about 15 minutes because if anyone can handle 3 hours of this, you're a bigger man or woman than me. But I'm going to go ahead and go into a quick match type session. Okay, so let's see here. I got skinny jeans. I'm going to set my match types. Okay, skinny jeans itself, look at those exact matches. like 9,000 searches. Holy cow, that's not going to make me rich or poor. That's just weird. So I got 200,000 searches broad. Skinny jeans, broad and phrase. I'm definitely going to check out broad and phrase. I'll test exact, but where's the gold going to come out of? You can just see the numbers there, right? So broad and phrase are essential on skinny jeans, okay? So Beatrice, broad and phrase, you have to do your skinny jeans, broad and phrase, regardless of where you put these when you're done. Now, you can do exact if you want to, but it's not going to be the gold. And Diana, will you put your questions back at the top of the queue, or Melissa might already have them, please. Next, I'm going to go down a little bit further, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, skinny jeans for women. Now this one is going to be a lot of exact match because I've got a stop word in there like for women. So skinny jeans for women. So on that one, I'm definitely going to do it as exact. It's a pretty much an exact phrase. I'm also going to do it as broad. It's not really going to need to be phrase because no one's going to put a lot of words behind or after it. I just want anything related to skinny jeans for women. This one's going to go into my groups as exact and broad. Skinny jeans women. Now that's a phrase, right? People can easily, and look at that, 12,000 searches, broad, 664 exact match. If I go covet oh, my precious keyword and put it as exact match, I'm going to get a whopping 664 views, which is like, not taking me anywhere exciting. So I'm going to put skinny jeans women as broad, skinny jeans women as phrase. Not really caring much about exact match. Jeans skinny, that's a reverse, right? 315 people search for that exactly, but 11,000 people put words in front or behind the term skinny jeans. Guaranteed jeans skinny is going to be a phrase match winner, but I'm going to put it at both broad and phrase to see which one I can produce at a good ACOS. Ripped skinny jeans, once again, broad. That's a broad keyword, right? Broad and phrase. 823 exact matches, not really caring. If ripped skinny jeans comes back through my search term report and starts to show me that that exact match of that keyword is jamming, it's going to go in as exact match, right? But until I get data on that, I'm going to go there. So hopefully that helps you guys sort that out. Beatrice, I hope you get an idea there. There's no rule to it. It's really based on the data that the tool gives you based on the keywords that you're searching. So let's go again. If I might have another keyword I could do here. I'm going to do match types for beard oil. This one's a little bit different. 62,000 people put in the word beard oil. I'm very interested in exact match right out the gate. 62,000 people. I mean, half the people searching for it are using it as exact. So I'm going to put beard oil in as broad because it's got 152,000 searches. Exact because it's got a ton of searches. Exact match, 62K. And phrase because it's only 2 words. And the likelihood of someone using just 2 words to look for anything is, well, not very likely. You know what I mean? Even though this keyword, the data says, yeah, a lot of people just put 2 words in. What else are you going to say? So I'm going to do broad, phrase, and exact on beard oil. Beard oil for men, it's the same old drill. It's an exact match. It's because it's got the word for in it. It's not really a phrase, so to speak. A phrase would be beard oil men. As soon as it gets the word for, it's no longer a phrase. And so that's kind of how I'm going to start to map that out. And yes, oh my gosh, Beatrice, thanks for hanging tight. Boy, we're all going to need I'm going to go get a green tea with my bestie after this because this has worn my brain out. I probably won't think about anything after this except for your freaking study guide, which is 26 pages, but I'm going to finish that today when I get back. And then I am done till Thursday. Okay, so we got a few questions here that we might have left on the trail. We've got Diana Torres, we needed to get her questions, and Pret.
Yep.
Pret, thank you for reposting those, P. Pret. P. Pret.
Yes.
All right, nice.
I've got Diana's question right here if you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, regarding market share, I pulled X-Ray for bestsellers and organic rank, and only 3 competitors have sales and revenue data. What else can I do to get a good estimate of my market?
Well, that would be weird. Why was that? Again, let me read that one more time.
It says, I pulled X-Ray for bestsellers and organic rank, and only 3 competitors had sales and revenue data. So she's trying to figure out her market share.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else that she can find data for that?
No, really just those type of market analysis tools. There's a bunch of them in the market. Viral Launch does it. Jungle Scout does it. I use Helium 10, but they all do it and they do a nice job. But if Helium 10 didn't pull the data, that's sure strange. Hey, let's try this, Diana. Can you take a general seed keyword? Let's say, okay, so you did the organic. I guess you did. You did organic for beard oil. supposedly, but your product, right? So organic for beard oil, the bestseller rank. How about if you try a different variation? Can you go even broader? Can you like go broader or deeper? Can you try like beard oil men? Or I don't want you to go to beard I think you might have to go back further though. Like maybe you're going too granular on that keyword. So maybe like if I were doing Levi's, if I were to do jeans, beard oil is kind of flat. There's only like 152,000 searches overall. Normally when I'm in a market, just so you guys know, there are these big kind of juicy markets like Levi's with a lot of search volume, like coffee. Yeah, I'm in that market. So normally I'm in markets that are just big, only because I like scale. So search volume wise, on this one, okay, jeans and Levi's jeans, could you go back and do like women's jeans and see if that brings some more results that are going to work? Maybe women's jeans through the search, through the organic, and see if you can get more sales numbers off of women's jeans. Maybe you've just gone too far in your modifiers. That would be my next step, is to try to put a higher level search in and see if that works. Because you got to get it out of that tool. Yeah, Diana, those tools will spit it out. So do a few searches and see what you get. Okay.
Awesome. Caroline is asking this question. She's asked it a couple of times. What do we do if the shop keywords in our niche only have around 1K broad monthly searches?
You're going to need to go up a level. You can put those in your shop group, but you're going to need to target browse, Carolina. You're going to need to be in some browse keywords to make it work. You'll have to go up one level if the volume is that low, because, you know, to get sales history and velocity, you want stuff that's going to get you a lot of orders. I mean, again, like that's why when I talk about train robbery, boy, you got to know how much money is in that safe. There's a lot of money in those, in the Amazon cubbies. So you got to go up one keyword level because there's just so many sales. You don't want to miss them. And, okay, sorry about that, Rayanne. So Rayanne needs me to slow down on that.
Yep, it looks like she just didn't understand the term you were using.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Do you want to quickly clarify single ad groups?
Yeah, I will. And so Rayanne, Viral Launch is a tool, and I think it's a dash in their URL. Viral Launch is just a market analysis and keyword tool for Amazon products. And it's just a great tool. People use it to launch products, new products, because they have a launch system. So they have their own unique launch process that Casey and his team do. It's a well-established company, and they do use a lot of data and a lot of software. So it's definitely a software company. So I always love software companies. Shout out on this call to like Seller Labs. Ooh, I love Seller Labs. I love Helium 10. I love data. So if you love data, you got to have tools that deliver it. Casey is really good at data, and Viral Launch has got great data. So I'm sorry if I go so fast there, Rayanne. I was trying to kind of nail through the questions on each class, but hopefully that helps get it clear for you. And how about Pret? Do we have Pret's question?
Let's see here. What will you do if a particular keyword has good ACOS over 30 days, and then in the next period, the same keyword comes in with a really high ACOS?
I would mine some negative keywords and put them in at the campaign level singles. Go ahead and go to your search and report, see if there's any negatives. I would try to not be too judgmental of it and let it go a little bit longer. Look at like the lifetime score, the 90-day score, ACOS score, kind of try to give it a little bit of room. But if it's doing well over one period, Pret, I would go see where you're ranked, and I would see what your competitors are doing. Because you may have lost rank and all the sales come above the fold. So there's no glory if you're not at the top of search, if you're doing a keyword that's important. So I would say look at those two things. Look at how your competitors are doing. If there's something coming up competitively that's slowing it down, look where you're ranking on that keyword. Take some other factors into account. Look at the search terms on that keyword and see if something's coming through that's dropping performance. And give it a little more time though. Normally if we have a keyword that's performed for us, we try to hold on to those. I am super fast to ditch the losers. I mean, keywords that don't work, they're gone. But if it's had performance for us, I'm the last one to cut it. If it's driving a good amount of sales and it was profitable before, but that's going to be our kind of differentiator. How many sales are you talking about and how good is the performance? So if it's one of those keywords that's in that 80-20 rule for me, like, man, that keyword is 80% of my sales, or in that category, boy, I am far less likely to do anything with that keyword over a little ACOS shift. If it's only doing a few sales though, it's gone. I just either cap the bid or pause it. So I think you always need to be looking at your keywords through that filter. Like, how much sales impact is it having? And then you need to make decisions on if you hang on to it with the ACOS getting dicey. Okay, so great. Robert has a good question. Will you read me Robert's? And just anybody who's hung tight with us for this long session, thank you so much. If you have questions, I know, Renair, what's going on with our lives? Advertising. If you have more questions that we did not answer today, if you have been sitting in this session and it's 3 hours and for some magical reason, please let us know. Put your question in. Okay, that's a good one. Anne's asking about AMS. I have no idea about that, Anne. There you go. I don't know. It's not available as Seller Central accounts. I'm hungry too. Renair, I'm out of here. I'm going to have a quiche and some green tea. I'm gone in about 10 minutes. So Anne, on AMS, I don't know how you do it at this point because they've kind of changed that system. So you can get equally good results, 80% of sales. You can get 80% of sales, and if you target sponsored products, like I'm going to teach you, I've already given a beta, kind of bit of it here in these sessions with competitor analysis and so forth. If you target sponsored products in your placements, you can get a really good result with that. In sponsored products, targeting your competitors' keywords and targeting auto. But if you really want AMS for product display, then I don't know how you go about getting that these days because it's definitely a vendor express kind of thing. I don't even know, they've changed the platform quite a bit and changed requirements, and it would be outside of my area of expertise how to get that. But if you have it, I think you can get equal results at this point in sponsored products. So you probably don't have to have AMS to get some really good results. And I think that Robert's question, Melissa, was kind of related to that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I can only see lines of it. So I'm like, what's Robert saying?
Okay, so he says, first his questions were unclear as he wrote them, so he rewrote them for me. Is there any way to get multiple ad spots on competitors' page? Can we use AMS to hit the ad space header at the top and the ad space header below the buy box, and then another one down by reviews? And then his second question is, in Seller Central, can two children ASINs take 2 spots in the top search on a single keyword? Basically, he wants to know how much of the screen can he buy. He wants it all.
I love it. I love to buy screen share. I love it. Yeah, Office, they shut down that Express program without question. So I don't know how they've restructured the buy-in, but I'll ask that question for you, Anne. I just so you guys know, I talk to Amazon advertising all the time. The guys at Amazon are really sweet to me because my clients spend a whole bunch of money. So I actually have a meeting with the head of one of the departments this week. So, and I had someone call me just a while ago from another department. So I'll check in with them and I'll ask that question. Hey, someone wants AMS. Is it possible? I'm going to say it's probably gated though to some type of seller thing. Okay, so back to Robert's question, how to buy real estate. Robert, first of all, I would, if you're gonna really fight for that real estate, go ahead and do the ad rank and get as many of your keywords up to the top of search. You could, in earlier days, as early as as late as 2017, get multiple products from your brand on the same keywords. At this point, Amazon has it in the algorithm to really display one product per brand unless they're desperate for real estate or desperate for ads. At this point in the sponsored products game, I don't see that happen. I would say it's like a 5% chance of it happening, but if it does, take it to the bank. I would say you have a higher chance of taking a best-selling product of the 2 variations and getting that one ranked in #1 position on the most relevant converting keywords you can. I would say that's a better strategy. And then get that done first and then go beef up those product display. And yes, I do both. I have clients that have AMS. Obviously, all my clients do because they're all in this kind of, bigger category. But even so, I do sponsored products and AMS for product display on AMS, and I do sponsored products. And I can tell you those sponsored product ads, as you guys saw from the placement reports. I showed you my placement report. This is all sponsored products. Now, I'm not saying that my AMS doesn't do anything because you saw that screen too a while back, but let's see if I can find it. This is all sponsored product impressions in other on Amazon, right? So yes, you can do both. I would do both. And here's what I would do for sure, okay? Okay, good. Okay, so Rob, what's up? Good to see you, Rob. If you're doing this, I think that you're going to do best in sponsored products. And I think that I would. Okay, here's what I would do. Remember how I talked earlier about your fiercest competitors? Okay, so you have fierce competitors that are on organic, top in the bestseller rank, on your main keywords, they're advertising, they're just lethal, right? Those competitors only, the ones that overlap in all those places, like the fiercest 5, call them the fierce 5. Your fiercest 5 competitors, absolutely, if you have AMS, double down on product display and competitors pages, but make sure you only do it here. Make sure you only do it in this sequence, right? You need to win those search spots first, right? So I'm going to suggest, Robert, that you take all this ad group 2 stuff and you make this really jam and you bid for rank. Take that download from session 1 that was free, the free preview. Take that download and make sure that you are jamming on these ad group 2 level stuff before you go invest heavily in competitors in either product display or sponsored products. And I've got a good question here. Rob is asking me if there's anything that you would do in the campaigns that would get you banned. Nothing in my world. I love algorithms. I only whisper sweet nothings in their ear. I do nothing black hat. I am as white hat as the day is long. I want that algorithm to be my best friend. I want to take the algorithm to lunch and dinner. I want to bring it over to my house and feed it cake. I love the algorithm. No, I've never done anything that would get me banned from anything. So I don't even know what you would do. I think it'd have to be pretty tricky, but it certainly wouldn't be in like best practice advertising or anything I teach, but nothing I've seen so far. I think, Rob, the sketchiest thing I've heard, because I work with a lot of top sellers like we all do, and I've heard from top sellers that the only thing right now that's really risky is your whole review strategy. And when I was in Bucharest speaking this spring, I heard a lot of top sellers with big, $1 million brands saying reviews were tricky. You couldn't do anything on that. But there's nothing in the advertising side that's going to get you in trouble. It's all completely white hat and completely compliant. Your auto campaign is its own standalone campaign. Each product has its own auto office. Okay, Fanner has another question. He needs more clarification. Can we get through that?
Yep. Let me add that here. And I think he'd already posted this earlier. And let's see here. Okay. Yeah, this was actually my next question on the list that I was going to ask you when you had a second. So this is good. If a product is in a category that it's not supposed to be and it's already ranking on several pages, would changing the category to the right one affect the ranking? They're looking at bestsellers and it's showing him products that are not very closely listed or very closely described to his.
Well, I mean, if it's not relevant, that's not a good thing. But again, it will impact. We've done that before. I've taken a product that was in the wrong category, that was one of my clients' products, and then we put it in the right category and sales dropped a whole bunch. So, again, this is more of a seller question. In my experience, that wasn't a big win to move it. But that's just my experience. Who knows? I think it's always different. We'll talk to you later, office. Thanks for hanging tight with us. Yeah, auto separate campaign. Have a good afternoon. Okay, so I think we got through all of this. You know what, Carolina, just try to pick the good keywords that are relevant to your product and don't worry about the numbers and what they add up to. As long as they're relevant, just plan on picking only relevant keywords. I think we've gotten through all the questions. And Info504, can you give me his feedback? Because I would kind of agree with what he's saying there. It's an interesting one to top off. This will be our last one of the day, guys. If anyone got missed or left on the trail, post your questions because no one's left on the trail today. So put your questions in.
Okay. Our experience is Amazon's algorithm selects the keyword with the highest bid when choosing the same keyword as broad, phrase, or exact match. So if the exact match version is the same keyword and has a lower bid, Amazon will always choose the broad match instead. Do you find this to be the same? And how do you manage this? Do you always bid higher on phrase and exact matches?
No. Say it one more time, Melissa, because it's a long one. I can't read it here. So one more time. I want to make sure I got all the notes. Say it again. Just because I'm fading at 3 hours, guys. Sorry, it's like brain cells.
Yeah, you're fine.
Go back through this because I do know the answer to this, and it's an interesting one. So go again.
It says, excuse me, goodness sakes, it is 3 hours, isn't it?
It is.
Our experience is Amazon's algorithm selects the keyword with the highest bid when choosing between the same keyword in different matches. So broad, phrase, or exact match, same keyword.
Okay, hold on. So then I got to make a note on that because there's a few things I needed to clarify here for you, Info 504, because there's a few things that are interesting there. Okay.
Yep. So if the exact match version of the same keyword has a lower bid, Amazon will always choose the broad match instead because it has a higher bid. Do you find this to be the same? And if so, how do you manage this? Do you always bid higher on phrase and exact matches?
Okay, so let's talk about that. So there's a lot of details in this that I want to cover, but let's go to my campaigns first of all. Again, know that my Amazon strategy is a winner takes all. I will take all the sales. That will be all strategy. So I am so, like, again, I kind of leave a little bit of this up to the algorithm, just make sure I'm ranking at the top of search for that keyword, right? At that point, what do I care? If I am ranking at the top of search for that keyword on every single variation I type in, go ahead, read them and weep, whatever the algorithm does for me. So, but let me talk about that in more specifics though. So yes, you're right. Here's some things that I found with match types. Super good insights here, Info. So one thing that you want to be wary of as you see these coming together, the reason I started putting one keyword with one match type, especially broad and phrase, in its own ad group is because when I found that I separated those high volume keywords out of another group, all the match types, I could tier my bids even slightly. I do tier my bids, just to clarify, Info, but I could tier my bids just ever so slightly. Do you see a tier? Like maybe I would tier from 722 to 662. That might be a broad phrase tier for me, right? And sometimes I'm only going to do it at 20 cents. Just depends on what I have to do. But when I put single keywords into ad groups and I put broad in its own and phrase in its own, I have found that I get traffic on both. Even with my bidding not being as strategic, although my bid's always tiered, right? So my bids aren't necessarily, your exact match should get a slightly higher bid, and then you would tier down to phrase, and you would tier down to broad if you were doing traditional keyword bidding match types, right? So you would do exact gets your highest bid, phrase gets your second highest, broad gets your third, right? So I am always tiering. But the interesting thing about my strategy is in Amazon, at least in Google, it's at the keyword level, but in Amazon, I'm doing it at the ad group level because I want all these keywords to get massive visibility and get velocity and history. So I'm doing it at the ad group level. So one thing I did have problems with, Info, was I had all my, in the old days, which would have been like 6 months ago or 9 months ago, I would have had all my broad and phrase and exact match in this scale group, right? Because I was just having them there, and it would have been all at a 648 bid because I uncapped. And then as you can see from my numbers, my CPCs are all over the place. So it's certainly not being weighted. And I did notice what you're noticing, that I wasn't getting as much traffic on the broad and phrase. But when I pulled the broad and phrase out and put them in their own groups, I started to get traffic on all three. So I would say it's a combination of like where, separate your match types. If they are in the same campaign or ad group, same campaign is perfectly fine. You can see here by the numbers. If they're in the same ad group, they can cannibalize each other and kind of eat up traffic. But at the end of the day, I'm more focused on checking my bid for rank and making sure I'm showing up. Again, it's a very broad market competitive strategy. But I do tier the bids, starting with exact, moving its way down. And I do set, sometimes when I get like a single keyword into these groups, like you see 722, 620, 662, sometimes a single broader phrase takes more bidding to rank and to get that traffic. So I'm checking it manually. And so I have to to get impressions to start kicking into these single groups, I do have to sometimes up the bid. And that's only until I start getting impressions and rank, and then I'm just gonna jam and see what the shopper does and what the algorithm does. And normally it comes out nice in my favor. So those are kind of my strategies there, but I would agree. If you're having an issue, tier your bidding for sure. And then even more importantly, get those broad and phrase separated out into single groups, and you're gonna see that Amazon gives them a lot more traction than if they're in the same ad group. And I think that is a wrap. I think we have answered every question under the sun. We made it through our first Q&A with every question answered because I can read them and Melissa can read them. And I am so thrilled to be here and be able to see these. And thank you everyone for staying with us on the call. And we will see you on Thursday with another open Q&A. And it'll be another on Thursday, like ride or die session until every question's answered. We're gonna stay around. I will have a guide between now and then with screenshots on everything we do. so you guys can put that together. And I really appreciate you guys staying with me. This has been a very, very bumpy start to this course. Like, keep you up at night, kind of bumpy. Like, hello, it's been bumpy. I've had a lot of tech issues with Vimeo, and which has slowed down my content production and stressed me out, and it's just been a mess on every call. This has been the first seamless call I've had, and we have to thank Andy Olson for that, because he set up the whole thing for me, because he saved me and rescued me from Vimeo. So thank you guys so much, and thank you for hanging with me, and I really appreciate it, and I will see you Thursday at 12 p.m. high noon. Until next time.